Hey guys, we've got Brussels sprouts tonight, and I'm gonna make them and name them after my buddy Kai over on TikTok. So basically all you're doing is cutting. Of course you have to wash them and make sure there's nothing left on them, you know, no dirt or anything. Cut this part off. I don't know if you can see it, but you're cutting the ends of it off. You're going to leave the rest, and you can actually slice them in half is the way I'm going to do it, so it'll have flavor through and through. I hope it's getting all of this. This light is very, very bright. So what I'm doing is cutting the halves and putting them over in here. Once I get them halved, I got a few things going on in my kitchen. So once I get done with everything, we'll have a whole dinner tonight. But here we go. We are cutting the ends off, and we're going to cut them in half so that the flavor will go through and through, because we're going to use some wine tonight for these. And a different flavor for you guys. We're going to have a sweet sauce to go on these for you guys. So basically all we're doing is cutting the ends off. Cutting the ends off here, guys. And then cutting them in half. That's after you wash them and let them dry. I've washed them and they've sat over there for about 45 minutes to air dry after I washed them thoroughly and took off the bad pieces. Once you do that, you're good to go. You can go further with it. So we've got about 1.5 pounds here, and I'll come back when we get to the next part. Hey family, tonight we are making Brussels sprouts, and we're going to do that with a sauce, a sweet sauce. We're going to use red cooking wine, or you can just use red wine if you don't have any at home. We have agave and the raw, soy sauce for salt flavor. We got some Montreal steak seasoning, or you can use chicken seasoning as my friend Kai did, and you can use the garlic powder. We're going to use a little olive oil for us to go ahead and sear this in the pan. And we'll be right back. I'm going to show you how to cut these and clean. Well, the cleaning part is pretty well common sense, but if it's not, you guys can send me a little message and I'll go ahead and show you that portion of it. But basically taking the outer layer off, washing it real good with a little bit of soap and water, like, you know, not that you do it with you washing your dishes. Rinse them very, very well to make sure there's no soap in there, and then go ahead and let them air dry a little bit, or you can pat dry them with a paper towel. But we're gonna keep going. Okay guys, we're gonna get started on this making these Brussels sprouts. We got some Kai Brussels sprouts. We've already cleaned them, we've already cut them, and we're gonna start. We got the heat up on about between a 4 and a 5. We're gonna pan sear these. We're gonna use about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Let that get around the pan really well, and once it starts, you can use olive oil or whatever oil, you know, floats your boat. I'm going to use olive oil here, and then we're going to go on with these seasonings. So it doesn't take long for the olive oil to heat up, so it's about ready. You make sure that these are dry. Some of them I had wet them a little bit again, rinsed them a little bit, so they did get a little bit of water on them. So it's a little water in this. Not that I wanted it to be, but it is. A little water over in here. Get these going. Okay guys, we got these searing on the stove. I'm going to start with the flavoring. I'm going to start with the dry flavor. And we're going to sprinkle on top about a teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to about a teaspoon of Montreal steak seasoning. Well, let me say about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, but I'm sprinkling it on top. So we're going to mix these up a little bit before we start putting the other flavors and seasonings on. That was the Montreal steak seasoning and the garlic powder. As we call it, eyeballed it a little bit, but I'm going to say they were about a teaspoon a piece of each. Mix those in really well. We're going to sprinkle on about 5 shots of soy sauce. We're going to shake up this red wine. And I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons of red wine in here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead with 3 of them, because it's a little more than what I expected as far as Brussels sprouts. I cooked more than I had anticipated on cooking. And the agave sauce in the raw. I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon of that. Just 1 tablespoon, no more than that. I'm going to sit this spoon here so I can get it all out. It's so thick. I'm going to try to get it all out like that. I'm going to take my finger and get the rest of it out of there. Throw that over in the sink. We're going to let this mix up real well together. And I'm going to take a little piece. You can alleviate what I'm about to add on this. You can leave it off or you can leave it in. It's up to you. I'm going to take a very small piece of onion and cut it up in there because I like onion. So if you don't use the onion, use a little bit of onion powder. It won't hurt you. But it's going to give it some good flavor if you use it. And it's at the point now where if you're going to add it, you make sure it's really tiny. You're thin, very thin sliced. So I heard and came over here and cut this up because I actually forgot just that quick to add it. But I like it in mine. I actually told Kai to add it in hers, but she said they can't have onions at her house, so we didn't add it in with our stuff that we told her to add in with the seasoning. Very, very small amount of onion, just to add a little more flavor to your Brussels sprouts. So here we have our Kai Brussels sprouts. You don't want to overcook them. It should only take a couple more, maybe 2 or 3 more minutes to cook with the onion in it. And these are going to be marvelous. You don't want it too salty. That's why I said just 5 squirts of the, and you don't have to put seasoning salt in, or you can season the taste after you've done that, because hers were a little salty when she did add the salt to it. So we don't want to make it salty. We just want flavor. So, and guys, that's about it. This is a quick, fast vegetable. And if you want a sweet, something sweet, you can do this. Or you can do, if you don't have the agave and you can have the sugar, you do a brown sugar. It'll give it a good flavor too. So, if you want a sweet vegetable, Just a little bit of sweet. Something a little different from your ordinary. Here's your red wine Brussels sprout. And we're going to call these a Kai sprout. It only takes a couple minutes. We're going to put a lid over it for the last 2 minutes and go from there with it. And we have it on low. We have it between a 2 and a 3. And I'll be right back to let you see what it looks like. Okay guys, this is the part where they're done. I left them on for about maybe 4 minutes covered. Now you can add any other seasoning you want. I don't want this to be too salty. However, for my little peanuts to eat it, it's gonna have to have a little bit more salt in it. So of course I did the little 5 shots of seasoning salt. So of soy sauce. So I'm just gonna do a little dab of seasoning salt over this, just a little bit, just to give it the extra flavor we like here. And these are done, guys. They are done, and the boys are gonna try these.
Oh, we sure are.
So we'll be back.
Say.
What?
We about to taste some Brussel sprouts.
What about it?
And they busting.
Y'all silly. Okay, come on.
Everybody taste some.
Let's go get that little girl. Yeah, was it really that good?